Welcome, ladies, to One Simple Step Today. I am so excited for my guest today and dear friend, Teri Seacrest. She is coming to us and discussing essential oils during pregnancy and how to use them in safety and that type of thing. So, Teri, welcome to today's show.
Thank you so much. I'm just so jazzed to be with you, Heather. It's my honor.
Oh, Teri, let me share with my listeners a little bit about your expertise. Teri is a certified wellness coach for over 25 years. So she has worked with thousands of women from all over the world and has gained so much knowledge and insight from all of her different experiences. So she comes today with that experience, as well as a very successful entrepreneur and an author of many best-selling books on essential oils, as well as leadership, cooking, and healthy lifestyle. Teri, share with us your mission.
Thank you, Heather. Well, everyone, my mission is to change the way that the world thinks about healthcare. You know, we were all raised in different family situations, and we all have different backgrounds and belief systems. And I believe that our body is designed to heal itself rather quickly when we give it the right substance. And so I have had so many wonderful experiences, Heather, seeing how the body will heal itself and is designed to last a whole lifetime. You know, we only have one body. And so my mission is to change the way that the world thinks about healthcare.
And that includes essential oils. That is a key part. And I have had experiences myself with seeing the amazing benefits of essential oils. And it's once you see one of these changes on yourself, you're a believer also.
Yes, yes. You know, it's funny, but I believe that over time, essential oils, which are really plant oils that come from plants, I believe they will prove to be the most powerful natural health solution in our lifetime.
Now, Teri, you've been using oils for over 25 years, I think. Is that right?
That's correct, 25 years.
How you were introduced to oils is a beautiful story because it was during your pregnancy. So
yes, that's right.
Hear that story about lavender and pregnancy.
Yes, yes. So that the audience can understand, I was very familiar, Heather, with dried herbs because my mother had a cooking school. And so we use things like lavender and other dried herbs in cooking. But I had never had any experience at all with essential plant oils. So what happened is that 25 years ago, I was pregnant with our third child, little Joseph, who is now 24 years old. And my husband and I had had our second child born underwater, which is a very famous way to give birth in Europe, not so well known in America. And our desire was to have our third child born in a warm bathtub underwater. Well, so we were going to take a little vacation before the birth, and the doctor said, "Oh, Teri, it's totally safe to take an airplane up until 8 months." I'm like, "Oh, great. Okay." So we went on vacation, and coming home, when the airplane went up to altitude like this, my stomach went out like this. And I looked down and I felt really sick, and I looked down and I said, "Oh my goodness, something drastic is going on here." It's kind of like when the airline stewardess brings you some pretzels and they're all puffed up in the package. The package is kind of all puffed up. What happened is that the pressure of the airplane going up to altitude had put too much pressure on my stomach. Now, we were at 7.5 months, which means I had 6 weeks left to go before the birth. Well, we lived an hour from the airport and we lived an hour from the hospital. Now, we arrived home late at night, and as soon as I walked in the house, I went into heavy labor. So we had a midwife all lined up. She delivered 1,000 babies, Heather. I mean, how many midwives do we know that's delivered 1,000 babies? She comes with an oxygen tank and, delivered a lot more babies than the average doctor. So she hopped in her car and she was driving to my home, and she was timing the contractions on her phone, talking to me on the cell phone. And she screamed at me and said I was going to deliver in 7 to 10 minutes. And she was very concerned that my baby's lungs were not fully developed at that point in time. She said to me, Teri, I can't afford to waste any time. We have to get you to the hospital. She said, I'm going to call a helicopter and fly you to the hospital. Well, something in me, when she said that, Heather, I just couldn't stand the thought of having a baby born in a helicopter. It just was terrifying. So out of my mouth came the words, wait 1 minute, just wait 60 seconds and I'll give you my answer. Don't make that phone call for 60 seconds. She goes, okay, but I'm not waiting any longer. So during that time, I got out of bed, I fell to my knees and I looked up, and out of my mouth I said, Papa, is there anything strong enough to stop heavy labor in this house? And if there is, will you show me what it is? Here's the unusual thing that I did not remember, because I was really kind of out of it, Heather. I was experiencing a lot of trauma. I did not remember that 3 months earlier, I was teaching a class on healthy foods. In fact, I'll just show you this. My very, very first book I ever wrote is called Eating Out of Heaven's Garden. It's all about how the average American family can just eat a little bit healthier. So I was teaching a class on this in Salt Lake City at the Salt Palace, and a gentleman came to the class and afterwards introduced himself to me, and he was the founder of an essential oil company called Young Living Essential Oils. And I thanked him for coming, and he said, I really learned a lot. Thank you so much. And he put something in my hand and he said to me, why don't you keep this, because you might need it someday. And it was a bottle of essential oil of lavender. Now, let me go back to the story. When I cried out to the Lord and I asked him what to do, I had no idea. And I kind of think a miracle is when you don't know what to do and you just cry out to God and you say, I don't know what to do. I don't have the wisdom. What should I do? And I heard the words oil of lavender. And Heather, I thought I was losing my mind. I looked all around the house because I thought somebody walked in. There's somebody in the house talking to me. I thought I'm losing my mind. Nobody was there. And I heard the words oil of lavender. Well, my husband ran in the pantry, found this bottle of lavender oil, a 15 milliliter bottle of oil, and said, what do I do with it? I said, I don't know. I said, just marinate me. He goes, marinate you? And he put 25 drops on my stomach like you marinate a turkey, right? and about 5 drops on the bottom of each of my feet. And in 45 seconds, my labor stopped.
Wow.
45 seconds. Now, Heather, can I say that the lavender stopped my labor? Absolutely not. I can't make that claim. What I know, though, is that when I started smelling that lavender, when it, the scent of that lavender was coming toward me, all I know is I became so relaxed till all of a sudden I wasn't fearful, I wasn't anxious. All of those emotions, just like my shoulders dropped, and all I know is the labor stopped.
Wow.
And the most amazing thing happened, Heather. I still had 6 weeks to go. So the midwife came running in the door, and she took one look at me and she said to me, what happened to you? And I said, I don't know. And she said, because I was shaking, holding the bottle of oil, shaking. She goes, what's that? I said, I don't know. And she examined me and she said, you have to be on bed rest 24/7. You cannot get out of bed. I said, okay, I'm on bed rest. So even though I was on bed rest, every time I got out of bed to go to the restroom, I went back into labor. I guess the gravity, standing up, walking.
Right.
And so every time we put the lavender back on, and it stopped again. So all I know that there was something so calming about that. On the date of the birth, we put the lavender away. I went straight into labor and delivered a 10-pound, 3-ounce baby underwater in 30 minutes.
Wow.
The midwife didn't even make it to the birth. She was driving in the car trying to get to the house. Right. And I held that beautiful baby that miracle baby, I held him until she got there and did the after birth care.
What a beautiful birth story, and truly a miracle.
Yeah.
Truly.
I really believe that. I really believe that. It was a miracle. And there was one more miracle for anybody watching today. There's about, in a 15 milliliter bottle of oil. Now, this is frankincense. I don't have my lavender with me. This is frankincense. In a 15 milliliter bottle of oil, there are 300 drops. And I used that oil every day for 6 weeks. And we used approximately 20 drops on my stomach.
Wow.
And it never dawned on us. It never dawned on us that the oil never ran out. So I feel that in this experience, there was 2 miracles that God did. One was to show me what to do when I didn't know what to do. Mm-hmm. And I call it his medicine because he gave us the plants on the 3rd day of creation. That's when God gave us the trees, flowers, shrubs, roots, all of those things we were given even before man was created on the 6th day. God gave us this on the 3rd day. And then the second miracle was that the oil never ran out.
It's unbelievable. It's beautiful. And I love hearing every time you share that with me. It's amazing. And I think it's so powerful for other women to hear as well. What an introduction to essential oils. And where did you go from there?
You know, from there, as I was laying in bed without the ability to really do anything for 6 weeks, Heather, I began to do my own research. I started to research every possible thing that lavender oil would do. And to my amazement, there were so many things. It was kind of like, maybe you might call it the Swiss Army knife of essential oils. Yes. When in doubt, you know, grab your lavender. I discovered that it was good for, let's say you have pressure in your head, you know, you just feel pressure, right? You know, and you take your lavender and you just kind of massage your, you know, your scalp right here. Let's say you're jogging down the road and you get a little cramp in your leg, or especially let's say you go to bed at night and you're sleeping and you just can't go to sleep because you're thinking about too many things. I discovered that breathing lavender is so calming at night, rubbing it on your pillow, even putting it on the bottoms of your feet where there's nerve endings.
Yes.
So during that 6 weeks, I started to research it. And another amazing thing, as I was reading the scripture during that 6 weeks, when I would come across an oil such as frankincense, mm-hmm. I felt like the words were jumping off the page, Heather. Yes. And I would just ask God, I would say, okay, Lord, is frankincense a powder? Is it like, I didn't know. I didn't even know it was a liquid. Uh-huh. And so then what I learned is, I'll show you this. I learned that if I just take a few drops of whatever oil and put it in our hands and then just breathe it, I learned something amazing in my studies during that 6 weeks. I learned that when we breathe in oil, it goes through the olfactory in our nose. Yes. And goes to the amygdala region in the brain, which is the emotional seat of the brain. It's actually where we store emotions our entire life.
Yes.
And so I learned that when I breathe that lavender, whatever's bothering me, whatever's just stuck there in my brain, it allows me to calm down and allowed me to let go of that stress. Mm-hmm. And so as a certified wellness coach, I realized that I now had something very powerful, more powerful than saying, go home and eat some broccoli, you know. Under normal conditions, that's what I used to tell people is, you know, eat this food, eat that food, walk more, exercise more. But now I had something else in that arsenal to be able to offer people.
Yes. And the power, the sense of smell is so powerful because you've done it like if cookies were baking or a familiar scent of the beach or something, you automatically go back to a powerful memory in the past. And so, yes, there are so many strong connections through the power of oils just through smelling them. It's amazing.
That is so beautiful. And when you just said that, it kind of reminded me of walking down the street and smelling somebody baking cinnamon rolls, and then thinking about my mother
Yes.
instead of thinking about my mother and then smelling cinnamon rolls. So smell produces a thought.
Yes.
And that's a beautiful thing that we can use in our lives to help us overcome negativity.
Most definitely. Most definitely. And as we're talking to pregnant women right now, and especially how do we use essential oils in pregnancy, delivery, postpartum with our baby?
Yeah.
I mean, where do we start? There's so many possibilities.
This is such a great subject. I'm so honored to be here. I have some real favorite oils that my clients have been using for pregnancy. Let me mention one thing too, Heather, real quick, before we go any further. For those of you watching today, over 25 years of using essential oils, I have tried many different brands. And to my surprise, I've discovered that they're not all created equal. So what I discovered, especially in this case of using that powerful lavender on my stomach, it was very important that I was using a therapeutic grade essential oil, which is the highest grade of essential oil. So I just want to preface it by saying that I have received the most consistent, powerful results over these 25 years with the brand of oil called Young Living. So when I mention certain oils today, that's the brand I'll be talking about today, because that's the results we're getting with our clients. So beginning with, when you are pregnant and you get into that 6 months, I remember when that happened to me and I started having that lower back pain and just feeling anxious and feeling so heavy. I remember, because I'm kind of a thin person by nature, and I remember my ankles swelling. If anybody's watching and you're having swollen ankles, I'd love to share with you a beautiful oil you can use to increase your circulation. And it's called cypress. And if you think of C for cypress, think of it for your circulation. So the simple thing, Heather, of taking a few drops in your hands, starting with your feet, yes, rubbing them up your feet, always rubbing oils toward your heart, up your ankles, up your legs. That cypress is going to get that circulation going. A really good friend of mine, Heather, I think you've even met her, Beverly. Beverly's feet swelled up so much during pregnancy, she couldn't get her flip-flops on. Oh. But much less her shoes. She couldn't even get on her flip-flops. And so she goes, Teri, what do I do? And so I just taught her how to do that. So that's very simple. And that's a very inexpensive essential oil. Also, a blend of oils, Heather, that I think if there's just one blend that pregnant women want to have in their little, I guess you call it your first aid kit, it would be the blend called Valor, V-A-L-O-R, Valor. Now, this is something you can put on your lower back. Yes.
I've got it right now.
Oh, that's so good. And the simplest thing, even before you rub it, is breathing it. Because that Valor contains essential oils for helping you to feel grounded.
Yes.
It's very nurturing, very, very, let's breathe it. Very nurturing. How does that feel? Kind of describe how that feels when you breathe it.
It comes over all of you.
Yeah. See,
a sense of relaxing.
Very relaxing, very balancing. It's very balancing. It is an oil that's very, very good for the muscular skeletal system of the body, which is your back, your spine. Yeah. How many women have back pain?
Oh, it's so common. So common. Yeah.
So taking that a few drops, 5 drops down your spine, even on the bottoms of your feet. There are nerve endings on the bottoms of your feet that will transport it throughout the body very quickly and down your spine. That's another area. And breathing it. Also, not only during pregnancy, during delivery. It is, the name Valor represents the fact that as you're breathing it and it's going to that part of your brain where your emotions are stored, it's an oil that really helps you with courage during delivery.
Right. And women need more courage and more strength to go through that stage, that amazing stage of labor and delivery.
Exactly, exactly. And then, Heather, I think we should talk about a few general things, and that is when we're pregnant, our skin is more sensitive.
Yes.
And so oils that a lot of times you might never dilute under normal circumstances, when you're pregnant, you want to consider diluting them. It's as simple as taking a little bit of coconut oil in the palm of your hand, a few drops of essential oil, kind of stirring it up, and then applying it. Once again, just because during this time period, you are more sensitive. Although I will say lavender is so mild, it's one of those oils I rarely dilute. I would like to take a few minutes and talk about frankincense. If I were to describe frankincense, I would say it's like a hug in a bottle. Oh. So let's say you wake up, you're pregnant and you wake up and you feel like, you know what? I just don't feel like my friends or my family is supporting me the way I need to feel supported today. Mm-hmm. It's not that they aren't, but you just feel like you're, not being supported. Breathing your frankincense oil is so nurturing, so loving. It was one of the holy anointing oils spoken of in scripture.
Yes.
And when we take the Greek word incense and we translate it to the English word, it's frankincense. So there's actually 52 scriptural references to frankincense. And so this is a very, very beautiful oil. Also, it has properties that are helpful for your brain, your memory function. It's really good, ladies, as a skin oil, adding it to your moisturizer. You want to feel pretty. You want to feel pretty when you're pregnant. It also, once again, is really good when you start feeling that lower back pain and you feel a little bit agitated. Mm-hmm. Start breathing that frankincense, putting that frankincense on your lower back. I think you'll really, and also diffusing. One of the greatest things I think everyone can do during pregnancy is diffusing essential oils into the air. Heather. Yes. And why do we want to do that? So when we diffuse essential oils into the air, we love to use a cold water diffuser. We never want to heat the water. We want cold water. And you put about 10 to 15 drops of an essential oil or a combination of oils into your cold water diffuser. When you plug it in, that scent goes into the air, into hundreds of particles. And it creates a beautiful, exquisite atmosphere in your home. Also in delivery, even in the hospital, wherever you're going to deliver your baby. Mm-hmm. When you start to breathe those oils into the air, once again, it creates that calming atmosphere that we're looking for.
Yes. And I've even heard of women telling stories about when they've diffused it in the delivery room, then the birthing team, the nurses, the doctors are so happy when they come into this room, your delivery room, and they feel uplifted. So it's not just for the mom's benefit or the birth partner, but also the whole team. It changes.
That's actually, that's a really great point. Really great point. Another thing that I find is very, very important. We want to keep a strong immune system while we're pregnant. That's very important. Yes. You don't want to come down with a cold or things like this. So our family has our favorite oil that we use, and it's actually a blend of oils called Thieves. It's kind of a funny name. We can talk about the name in another broadcast. It is as simple as putting a few drops on the bottoms of your feet once or twice a day. Again, the nerve endings taking that throughout the body. And the Vitality Thieves that I work with from Young Living is certified for internal use. So the Vitality Thieves is what you want to use for supporting the body's immune system. And so that is good. And we can also diffuse that into the air to make sure that we just keep pure air around us that is protecting us from, any bad stuff around us.
Yes, definitely. Now, what about the woman who says, well, my hospital doesn't allow me to diffuse oils in delivery? Can they still
Oh,
use
yes. Yeah.
it? Are there different ways?
Yeah, that is such a great question. You guys, I love these. This is called Peace and Calming. This is, it's a roller. I'll just demonstrate it, Heather. It's got like a little silver, I'll kind of go like this, got like a little silver roller ball, stainless steel roller ball. So imagine Peace and Calming, putting a little bit on your wrist.
Yes.
And just breathing it on your wrist, or a little bit on the back of your neck, kind of on your area where you really feel that stress. Mm-hmm. And doing that, it's really good because number one, you're not going to drip it. There's not going to be, you're not going to drop it on whatever. I carry these in my purse when I'm driving down the road because I don't want to drip oil on me, in the car. So there are many different ones that we have. And for pregnancy, again, I like the Valor. And it comes in you don't have to do any mixing yourself. And again, just putting it on your wrist, bottoms of your feet, behind your neck. Also for your spouse. Yes. Your spouse needs it as well.
Yes, so, that is a taxing job, being the birth partner. I think it gets overlooked, but they need support also, because it can be hours and hours of pushing with mom. So it's support everybody involved. Yes.
And Heather, would you like me to mention a few oils that we should be, not use during pregnancy? I think.
Right. Yeah. That's so important because, again, oils are wonderful if used at the right time, in the right way, safely. So during pregnancy, delivery, even if you're breastfeeding, you have to be cautious about all oils are not equal. So yes, please.
Okay. So I would just suggest to you guys watching a few oils you want to stay away from during pregnancy. And that would be your sage oil, Idaho tansy, hyssop, fennel, wintergreen, and of course blends that contain these single oils. Now, the beautiful thing is when you're ready to deliver, okay, let's talk about that, because now, what about some oils? You're like, I can't take this labor anymore. I'm ready to deliver. What are we going to do now? So let's talk about it. Jasmine and clary sage. Those are helpful when we are ready to deliver. Why? Because they encourage stimulation of the uterus, and they can help bring on or strengthen contractions. So I think this is fantastic. Don't take the jasmine internally. That's one oil, is because that's called an absolute. It's different than distilling an essential oil. And also, when you are, let's say, the last 3 months of pregnancy, be sure to have a bottle of lavender in your purse.
Yes.
Because if something happens and you should go into early contractions, have that, boy, I wished I would have known that. Thank goodness it was in my home, I wished I would have known that and had it with me on the airplane. Yes. So you want to have things like your lavender in your purse at all times that last trimester.
Very good. That's so important. And preparing also, in my book, our mindset and our preparation, using oils in that pregnancy so that when you begin using them in delivery, you're already taking your mind back to, oh, I was at home and I was relaxed, and it releases more oxytocin, positive feelings. So we don't just save it. Oh, I'll gather up all these oils and use them at delivery. Use them throughout. And then it's pretty amazing when you meet your baby and you use oils also, because again, very special memories with very special scents come together are very powerful.
Oh, yes. Oh my goodness. I'm so glad you brought that up. I want to give people an example of something. With my first child, Elizabeth, I was playing music on my stomach. Oh, yeah. And I was playing Mozart on my stomach. And anybody that knows her knows she is a classical musician. She has been a classical singer, classical pianist, absolutely attracted to that music. And now, fast forward later, now that I've learned about oils, I have clients that put a blend that we have called Gentle Baby on their stomach during pregnancy. And believe it or not, so with my baby that I put lavender on for 6 weeks, little Joseph, when Joseph got old enough to talk and I would put his pajamas on, he would stick his feet in the air and he would say, "Oil, mommy, oil." Oh. I mean, that was one of the first words out of his mouth. Oh, he wanted me to put lavender on his feet. So now we have a lot of people using a blend called Gentle Baby. And it is just a very, very mild blend that women are putting on their stomach. And then when the baby's born, they, of course, dilute it and rub it on the baby's abdomen, on the umbilical cord. And there is that smell that the baby remembers smelling for those last few months. And now it's that, what you said, it's that bonding with the mother and child.
It's incredible. So we've talked a lot about oils during pregnancy, delivery, and a little bit about using oils with baby. But now what about postpartum? Because unfortunately, we get a lot of care for mom through pregnancy, delivery, and then it shifts. It's like, let's take care of baby, and mom sometimes gets the back seat. So it's my passion to let women know that, one, you don't have to heal on your own. You do need to have time to rest and heal. But there's a lot of concern. Sometimes postpartum depression, it can start out with like baby blues for a couple weeks and then continue on, and I just don't feel myself. So let's talk about oils and emotions, as well as let's talk about hair loss, because the reality of lots of women lose hair during that first 6 months or so after baby comes. So what are some things that you would like to share about those?
Oh, great question. Let's start with some oils. I work with a blend called Joy, Joy, pretty simple. It has a lot of ylang-ylang in it. It has rose oil in it. It's a very, very exquisite blend of essential oils. And I highly encourage women to be diffusing that, rubbing it over their heart, just cupping their hands and breathing a couple of drops of Joy oil. But let's also say that maybe you had a traumatic birth. Maybe there was something that just didn't quite go right, and you're kind of struggling with that memory. As I mentioned, those memories are stored in the amygdala region of your brain. So there's a blend of oils that we've used with women very successfully. It's actually called Trauma Life. That's the name of it, Trauma Life. And it's as simple as taking a few drops in our hands, just cupping our hands, breathing that for, I would say, 3 times a day. Again, whenever you're using an essential oil, it's good to use it for about 7 days, about 3 times a day, because you'll notice that you will start to see that memory come up, and then you just choose to release that memory. I just lovingly choose to release that memory, and I'm going to replace it with a joyful memory of the baby that I have now. So I think the Trauma Life is very, very powerful to use. Also, I want to speak nutritionally too. You know, in many cultures, you guys, I know this is hard for Americans to imagine. In many cultures, women don't just go right back to their normal everyday thing. They are drinking rich broth where you'll take organic vegetables and you will, you'll simmer those down for a couple of hours and just be drinking that beautiful nutrient-rich broth. In my book, I've got a recipe. All of my pregnant moms just love this one recipe. It's called the Vitality Stew. And I'm really happy to give you that recipe because many pregnant moms have been eating this Vitality Stew. It's got lentils in it and all kind of vegetables and just giving them that strength. So love on yourself.
Yes.
Don't just think you have to go right back, into work and that sort of thing. Also, a really fun recipe, and I can give you this recipe as well, is when you take some witch hazel and water, and you add lavender, 10 drops of lavender, 10 drops of rosemary, 10 drops of cedarwood. These are all really, really good, rich hair oils. And you, and also, yeah, I said cedarwood. And you put them in a spray bottle, and then you spritz your hair a couple of times a day. This helps to strengthen the roots of your hair. It's absolutely beautiful. And then one other supplement that a lot of my mothers go on after birth for their hair is called sulfurzyme, and it's a natural organic supplement that is fantastic for strengthening your, not only your hair, but your skin, your hair, your nails, and your joints. And so it's a very, very powerful supplement that a lot of my clients go on. And also, you know, Heather, I do a lot of work with people where we just really sit down and really do a wellness assessment with them. I can talk to you about that. If your friends are interested, you and I could do some complimentary wellness assessments with people to just help them get on the right track. What you want to do, you want the calories that you put into your body to count. You want to choose foods that truly add life to your body, because every time we pick up our fork, we're either adding life or death. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's pretty simple. And so perhaps Heather and I can help you say, what is the most life-giving food that I can put into my body at this time? And you guys, sugar depresses you. You know, if you're struggling with something emotional, you want to get off of sugar right now. And you want to say, I don't need that. I don't need that in my body. That's going to depress my immune system and depress my emotions. Yes. So there's so many great things. Diffusing the joy oil into the air. Also, Heather, very inexpensive. This is probably the most inexpensive essential oils you're ever going to find. Young Living has orange, tangerine, lemon, citrus fresh blend. We're talking so inexpensive. And these oils are really good for fighting negative emotions. Mm-hmm. So putting that citrus oil into the air and breathing it is a very proactive thing that you can do for your emotions after your baby's born.
Yes, it makes a big difference. I've even been carrying it in my purse sometimes, and I smell something and I just feel better. I'm like, what? And then I realize that it's coming out of the bottle in my purse, in my spirit.
Oh, that's so good. That's, you know, my secretary spilled a bottle of lemongrass. Speaking of oils for emotions, lemongrass is very, very good for your emotions. Well, she spilled a bottle of it in the trunk of her car. And the scent stayed there for weeks. And every time I got into her car, I said, oh my goodness, this is such a happy car.
Yes. Oh, it's incredible. And again, natural is the amazing part of essential oils.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
And
you know, yeah, I think that's so good. And I think that children are also very instinctive. I work with a lot of children around the world in some work that we do with orphanages. And I had the privilege of teaching a class about the biblical oils. When I mention the word biblical oils, I'm speaking about things like frankincense, myrrh, hyssop, galbanum, sandalwood, cedarwood. There's about 12 oils mentioned all throughout Scripture from Genesis to Revelation. And I was teaching these kids in the Philippines. And this little girl she was about 200 feet away after the class. And I just took the bottle of myrrh oil and I took the lid off. And from 200 feet away, she said, Miss Teri, she said, did you just take the lid off the myrrh? Because I can smell the myrrh oil. And I thought, my goodness, these kids are so smart. It was exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And again, we all want great smells around us, whether that's in our home or throughout life. So getting true smells that come from plants versus the synthetic things or a flavored candle is such a good choice. Like, let's help our body heal itself. Like you said, the body will heal
Yes,
itself.
Heather. And, Heather, I think a really important point today is the difference between a synthetic fragrance, such as, I'm trying to think of what you call these, but it's when you plug those fragrances to try to make your home, smell better, and you plug those fragrances into the wall. Those actually are not good for us and not good to be breathing, especially if someone has a respiratory condition. And so there's a very, very big difference. And why do I say this? As a wellness coach, I've had clients that told me they were allergic to perfume. And so they said, Teri, I can't possibly use any essential oils because I'm allergic to perfume. I said, you know what? I can appreciate what you're saying. Let me just ask you to take this pure frankincense and take this bottle home and breathe it and tell me if you have a bad reaction. So they call me and they go, I don't know why, but they go, I have a good reaction. So what happens is with perfumes, with commercial perfumes, you add a lot of other chemicals to those perfumes before it goes on the market. And so then people think they're allergic to scent. What they're really allergic to are those chemicals that have been added to the pure oil.
Most definitely. So in a future episode, we need to talk about chemical-free living, because that's one healthy, simple step that you can take to change your health. And I don't think we think about the impact, but we can do that on another episode, because that's a whole nother hour that we can talk about incredible things.
That would be awesome. That would be great. Heather, I want to thank you for the great work you're doing around the world with mothers and expectant mothers. I don't know many people out there that are teaching what you're teaching, and I really want to express my gratitude.
So ladies, I hope today you have just gained so much information about essential oils and you're energized to learn more. If you want more information, Essential Oils is Teri's most recent book. It's called God's Extravagant Provision for Your Health, and you can get it at teriseacrest.com, TeriSecrest.com. And also, if you're interested in more about essential oils, go to my website, onesimpleoil.today. That's onesimpleoil.today. Again, essential oils are powerful, but you want to use them safely and know which oils to use. So I want to let you know that I'm here for you to walk this journey, as well as Teri is as well. So thank you again, Teri, for all of your amazing insight and tips today.
I'm so joyful to be with all of you. Thank you.
Have a great day. And remember also OneSimpleStep.today for great information through pregnancy, postpartum, about steps to healing, learning about your pelvic floor. All that is so important. And it's my passion that women know that there are so many resources out there. So have a great day today. And thanks so much for listening.